And Mr. Collins was scheduled to do a development report tonight, and he had some information that was associated with their work with the fire department. So I think we're going to start in talking with how their department partners with the fire department when they do have issues such as the fires we've had the last couple of days.
If we could start with Glade Parks first, with the construction activity, might point out a couple things on the out parcel building. In this building, Five Guys is going to be going there. That's going to be the one next to Rose's. And then north, the Raising Cane's is where the Panera Bread is going to be located. Dave & Buster's continues theirs. Construction activity still on schedule. So they tell us, we verified this week, that they think they can still have their grand opening at the end of April. You can see the superstructure continues to go up on the inline retail, this in particular on Dick's Sporting Goods and other than Super Shelf. I wanted to make a point that in your status report that the city manager's office provides you the last couple of months, in the Glade Park section, you might see that there's almost a very similar narrative to the month before. When these end users submit their building construction plans, they know that they got some time before the superstructure is completed and before they're going to be released to begin the construction of the interior finish out associated with the interior space that they're going to occupy. So oftentimes they submit their building construction plans. They may not be complete. We'll return comments to them, or it is a complete submittal of construction plans and we return comments. But because they know they've got some time on their hands to play with, they may not return it. So it may appear from the narrative when you read from month to month, particularly over the last several months, that there doesn't appear to be any activity. Well, it's all as part of the process with this large-scale development that's occurring here. And I think we reported a couple weeks ago that you would see the pylon sign constructions begin, and this depicts the framing that's going up for the pylon sign, I believe, at the main entry there at Chisholm Trail. And moving to Glade Parks, if you drive around that subdivision, if you might recall when the development was originally approved through the planned development, this really was intended to be some type of buffer space that on the other side, which would be due east, would be, we believe, a proposed movie theater. This would be the proposed kind of buffer space between the residential and the commercial to the east. And they really didn't plan very much, the builder didn't plan very much to go there, but as the prospective buyer mix that they've been able to identify as purchasing homes within that subdivision, they got some young families with kids that are moving in, and there was a demand that they believe will be needed to satisfy, so they went in and installed a playground. One item of note, you can see that that's a wood fence that will be temporary. When the commercial development comes in, that will be replaced with an 8-foot masonry screening wall between the commercial and the residential. I think we're up to 14 single-family permits out at K-Hoff out of their 117 some odd lot subdivision. Moving to Bloomfield and Gateway Court. I think they're up to about 13 permits out there out of the 27 lot subdivision there. And you can see kind of the leave out for the on-street parking, the parallel parking that will be permitted there along that eastern edge of the subdivision for guest parking. Really turning out to be a handsome subdivision.
It might come out that gateway, that is the housing development behind the Lowe's shops at Vineyard Village. Sure.
Thank you. Yes. Moving to Camden Park on the south side of Glade Road off of Bays Road, a little 8-lot subdivision. one thing that we wanted to note here is Bloomfield's been very, very good to work with on a bunch of different levels. And as an example, some of these infill tracks have their own unique set of circumstances to deal with and their own kind of challenges, because quite candidly, you're dumping in these infill tracks a new residential development that's surrounded by existing. And during the construction phase, and as people that are living in those existing homes begin to see the construction and it's real and they can touch it and they feel it, they've got questions. And the type of builder that Bloomfield is, there were some homeowners, 3 in particular, on the south side that had some particular questions about the sequence of the retaining wall and the privacy fence that would be constructed on top of that. And what Don Dykstra will do as the owner of the business is he walked out there with us and met directly with those property owners and said, what are your concerns, what are your questions, what can we do to help resolve them? And right there he made the commitments, and everybody walked away, not completely and totally happy, but their concerns were directly addressed. But that's the type of challenges with these kind of infill developments that is really making Bloomfield successful, because they're getting experience in how to deal with those.
Mike, can you go back to that slide?
Yes.
The patch in the middle of the road there, the contractor's prepared to repair the west portion of that at least in the next week or two.
In that area here.
Right there, we didn't quite like what he did. Actually got a call from a citizen. We went out and looked at it, and we have some concerns, and they're going to come in and replace that.
And Lennar continues to blow and go on their subdivision. You know, they tell us the typical build out on a subdivision is they're going to sell 50% of their lots within the first 3 years, and then 3 to 7 years thereabouts they will do the remainder. They've already got 65, 68 out of 208, well within their first year, so they're already at 30% inside of a year. They're just doing very, very, very well with that. It's incredible the numbers they're putting up. The preserve, we keep showing you what appears to be the same pictures of the last several months, but they really do continue to make a lot of progress. They will reach a point where the buildings that are fronting onto Grange Hall will, within the next month, you should see some masonry being constructed, and that really take the form and shape of what y'all had approved as part of their site plan. And going to the Silvercrest addition at Pipeline Road and South Main Street, they are continuing to develop that subdivision with the masonry screening wall being constructed there that parallels South Main Street. And moving farther to the north on South Main, another Bloomfield subdivision, we're across the street from the South Euless Elementary School. Note within this subdivision, we wanted to point out that in the approval of the plan development that came before the Council and the Planning and Zoning Commission, a gate that would provide emergency access with a Knox box was approved as part of the site plan. And the thinking on the part of staff at the time that that particular issue was being addressed was to try to control the potential for folks that are dropping off kids or picking up kids that would queue in the afternoon or whatever, to control that school-related traffic from going within the subdivision. Well, the subdivision's L-shaped. There's no cul-de-sac at the end of this street, and Gene Lane would be the primary collector street, or arterial rather, to the north. As we have worked our way through the final engineering to actually locate that fence in relationship to the masonry screening wall, there's a couple of challenges that have developed in the installation of that. So we've kind of, at the staff level, kind of revisited that issue, and we've talked with the police department. We've talked with fire, and some of the unintended consequences of controlling the school-related traffic that would be going in there is the potential impact on all your service delivery trucks and your trash trucks and other related folks that are going in there that could find themselves coming to that gate being closed and actually having to back into other people's driveways in order to reverse and get back out of the subdivision. So we kind of asked ourselves, if you look at other similar circumstances of elementary schools in the city, have there been other ways of trying to control through signage to direct the school-related traffic? And I mean, y'all could identify for yourselves several other examples throughout the community where signage has been able to be used effectively to control that. So we may have thought it was a good idea, and maybe we were going to try to take another look at it. And what we were going to propose for your consideration, I don't know if it'll make the next meeting or not. It might very well ask you to reconsider that very specific design requirement associated with the subdivision to eliminate the gate, and instead let us use signage to control that school-related traffic.
Is that PD money?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Has the box been sold yet?
No. 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 And Euless Guns and Ammo is very, very, very near to completing their renovation. Certainly is turning out very, very handsome. It's our understanding through some friendly persuasion by some individuals that might be here at this meeting today that they like the view of the Cedar so much that they convinced the owner of the business to extend that on that west elevation where they had intended on doing some type of mural or some additional signage perhaps. They went ahead and extended that same architectural design look on the entirety of the new addition.
And I said, no pressure, Ed, no pressure.
Ricochet Fuel is ongoing with their site development that will enable them to construct the new warehouse portion that had been approved as part of the site plan a couple of months ago, I should say. And that's it, the schedule.